I don't know. The thing that's interesting, I was just as this is a related idea. Art for me at the beginning, I wouldn't have thought it as therapy. I mean, when I was in prison, I was still, I still wanted to be Che Guevara. I mean, I was still like still in a combatant mentality. I was a captured combatant. That was my framework, and my artwork was actually more instrumental in my approach. It was very transactional to be. I had I would make things to thank people for sending me commissary money, so that I could get toothpaste and instant coffee at the and people would send me money, and I felt like I wanted to do something basically as a gesture of gratitude and to thank them. And I was never trained as an artist, and I just taught myself to draw and did sort of the little things that I could. So that was the beginning. And of course, most of my, if you see my early expressions, it's all like, celebratory of the armed struggle, and really sort of artist propaganda, out of that genre. Um, the thing that really corresponds to this current situation for me was my communication with other political prisoners, which is, I think, the genesis. I think your interest in this, Michael, was. And there are a lot of interesting parallels the more I think about it, because we were all locked in our own separate experiences of isolation. And for us, communicating with each other was more important than whatever intelligence we were giving up to the people who were holding us.
Yeah, yeah,
So of
yeah.
course, all of us assumed, especially when I was writing to Brigida Christian Klar, and to the others in Stammheim and Eichach and the other prisons. We all understood that they were reading everything that was going in, everything that was going out, and that our letters were being funneled off to think tanks and to, for psychological profiling, and all of the interests that were trying to dissect the armed struggle in various countries. We all understood that, but it was a trade-off for us. It was more important for us to survive psychologically, and that we needed each other more than whatever intelligence benefit was being given up by us in that situation. And there was no more important expression of like shared humanity and solidarity than it existed in the letters that we shared. And 9 times out of 10, the letters that we sent back and forth to each other included art. Either stuff that we made, we drew for each other, or that we shared in postcards or photographs or things like that. And it was the visual language of that was just extraordinarily important. And that was what I think led me to, it was the first art show I ever curated. I didn't even know that was what it was called, actually. I was in solitary in Marion, and it was when Mumia Abu Jamal was scheduled to be executed in the state of Pennsylvania. And I started asking all of the political prisoners that I knew, which at that point, I think I was writing to people in like 17 different countries. It was ridiculous. I was writing, like probably 100 pages worth of letters in tiny little cribbed scrawl to save money on stamps, and sending to, I was in touch with people in Turkey and Ireland and Germany and South Africa, Namibia. It was ridiculous. But I asked them if they had artwork that they could contribute, and we'll do an art show. We'll put together a book. We'll do an art show, and we'll try and raise money and awareness of Mumia's situation. And that became the Art Against Death show that traveled across the United States, and I think went to at least 5 or 6 different countries in Europe at that time. So I had no idea of myself as an artist. I would never have called myself that. And I don't know that I've ever made a dime selling artwork, but for Felix, you know, actually and Regula, I started out in my own travels. I was at Rockefeller University studying neuroscience. That was where I began. I was in an MD PhD track and towards research. And Regula, you will appreciate this. I bailed out because I thought the philosophical premise of all the neuroscience that was being done was completely flawed. So I couldn't justify sacrificing animal after animal for a framework that insisted on comparing the brain to the computer. So